Hey YouTube, this is Alex with IMTCG, and today we're going to be doing some test hands with Vanquish Soul and some possible combo videos based on those test hands. So let's get started. We'll shuffle it up. All right, do a cut, and we'll see what our opening hand is. Okay, so off the bat right away, I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at my attributes. I've got earth, dark, fire, and fire. Now, I do have a line with Mad Love to get a spell trap. However, I do need to look for my raisin. So off the bat, I'm gonna go Pot of Prosperity. And most of the time when I'm going first, I'm gonna just be getting rid of my board breaker cards. So for example, the Zeus Bridge, gone, and Unicorn, Talker, and Phoenix, don't need it going first. So I need my consistency cards more. So get rid of 6. Hopefully I don't get ashed. If I do, it's sad, but it is what it is. And we'll look at the top 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, off the bat, I already have my raisin, but I would rather get rid of more cards from my deck for consistency. So I'm going to grab the Stake Your Soul and put everything back. Activating the Stake Your Soul. I'd rather show my opponent I have an Ash rather than the Dogoran to have them commit to their board plays. So I'll show them the Ash and I'll search for the Raisin. I will summon the Raisin. Knowing that I have a Mad Love, I'm going to search for the Borger. And knowing that I'm under Prosperity, I cannot activate the Borger effect to draw. But that is totally fine. Okay, I will then link off the Raisin for Rock of the Vanquisher. Activate Rock of the Vanquisher effect to special summon from the hand, Mad Love, and then Mad Love effect will add me a spell trap. Since I have the Raisin in the grave, I'm going to be adding the Continue. At which point I will then activate Borger, target the Mad Love to bounce back to my hand. And I'm going to special the Borger specifically under Rock of the Vanquisher. And I'll explain that in just a second. So then I will set Continue and pass turn. During their draw or standby phase, I will then declare Heavy Borger to activate to reveal a dark, draw 1 card. Perfect. So at this point, I have opportunities with Continue for my turn, for my opponent's turn, which lets me play on their turn. On main phase, I can do Rock, special Mad Love, get Mad Love effect. If they do anything, I can chain this to bounce it back. I've got the Continue. Specifically with Continue, the reason why I put the Borger underneath Rock with the Vanquisher is because playing with zones, especially I think with this deck, is really important. With Raisin, I almost always, wherever they put their monster in their zones, I try and put the Raisin there. If they're playing a link heavy deck, for example, like Sprite or Sky Striker, I'm always putting the Raisin right in front of the other link zone, specifically because if I already searched with Raisin, if my first, for my first turn, for Raisin for the pop, you need a Fire and a Dark. I already have 2 fires that I can use. And I've got 1 dark, or if I wanted to use Valius to bounce back the Borger, to special the Caesar, I now have 2 darks. So especially with the zone play, it's really, really important. Okay, so that was one hand. Let's see what we do for the next one. Because I don't feel like doing videos where it's like, oh, this is the perfect hand. Because the chances of those happening in an actual gameplay and in tournaments, or even in casual, is very, very slim. So we want to see what happens, what we can do with an actual hand that's just drawn. Mad Love, a Stake, a Continue, a Borger, and an Imperm. Okay, so this is not bad. So what I would do in this instance is activate Stake Your Soul, revealing Mad Love, to special a Borger from the deck. I will then activate the Borger, revealing Dr. Madlove. Let's shuffle this up quick. Draw one, and we got into Magnamut. Now, I don't really believe in getting rid of our own attributes, so Magnamut's just going to be a dark that I can reveal for turn if I really run out of these two, which in reality, these two will never leave your hands. Because you can't Borger for Borger because it specifically says target a non-machine Vanquish Soul, which you can't target itself. So in this case, I would special that. I would then normal summon Madlove and then activate the Madlove effect, because why wouldn't you? And then since I already have the Continue and you cannot search Stake Your Soul, learned that from the very, after the first video I made with this deck, you're gonna wanna search the other card, which is Dust Devil, which is the non-target Book of Moon. Okay, at this point, I have no problem getting rid of my Madlove. You do play into Bestials on your turn, like if your opponent, because you do control monsters and there's a dark, so just be careful with that. And then I would activate Raga the Vanquisher to, actually, no, I would probably leave that there and set the Continue, which my opponent does not know about, and then set the not the Stake Your Soul, I'm sorry, the Dust Devil, and set the Imperm. Then during your opponent's turn, you have Borger. You can reveal Borger, so that way they don't know you have a Bestial in your hand. Draw one card, and then you have plays for the following turn with Stake Your Soul, possibly going into another dark. Or you could go into Continue, special this and face up defense, which lets you thin your deck and grab the last Continue that we have, because we cut the other Dust Devil. Just because we were playing before with a list of about, I believe, like 43, 45 cards, but now I've consolidated it to a, acceptable 40 card deck. So now that we thinned that out, we have one less card that we need to worry about that we don't want to draw into. So now going into our turn, we can go Borger effect to reveal Borger. Well, first we draw, then we reveal Borger to draw a card. And we have our play here. So go Reinforcement of the Army, add us our only warrior that's a fire. Not necessarily true. We also have Rise Heart, but I guess I will do what would be the ideal hand for me at the end. Since I did not activate Rocket the Vanquisher effect, I'll use his effect to special and then raise an effect to search. The only attribute that I don't have in my hand is Earth that I need. So at that point, I would add Caesar. Most of the time when your hand size is this big, you pretty much have really good advantage and control of the game. If you really wanted to and just to thin out your deck even more, you can do Stake Your Soul, reveal the Caesar to get rid of the Pantera that you don't necessarily really need. If you're in a really tight spot, you could even normal that Pantera if you wanted to, but you're pretty fine at this point. If you really wanted to go for a 7 play, you could bring back the Raisin, and then special the Borger. You could go into a rank 7 play. The 7s I play are number 76, Harmonizer Gradial. If you don't know what that one does, is it becomes the attributes that the materials are underneath it. So it would be a light and a dark. If I make it with Kashyyyr Fenrir, I would have dark, earth, and light. So it'd be effective against most of the Kashyyyr stuff besides Unicorn. but Unicorn's not the one you're really worried about. It's mostly the Fenrir. So the 7s that you could go into are Big Guy if you need to steal something. Most of the time I'm going into Red Ice Flare Metal just because my opponents that you'll typically play against will be activating a lot of effects. So just doing the continual 1500 for burn damage is pretty good. And then you also have the Caesar to bounce back the Mad Love. And at that point you will have a Dark, an Earth, and a Fire, so you can play into the non-targetable destruction. Plus you drew into an imperm on the turn. So that is that. Let's see what it would be like with an ideal hand of what we would want. Let's put everything back. If I had to think of a perfect hand, it would be a Raisin, a Stake Your Soul, a Borger, a Fenrir, and there can be only one. I guess that would be a really good hand to see opening up. All right. So what I would do is first Fenrir, effective Fenrir. With your hand that you have, I would feel comfortable searching for a Rise Heart. Okay, and I'll show you exactly why I wouldn't go into another Fenrir. Okay. I would then Stake Your Soul, revealing the Borger to go into a Mad Love. Okay. Mad Love effect, I would go into Continue. At this point, you normal summon the Raisin and search for the other Vanquish Soul that you're missing, which the main one being the Caesar. Is that full? No. Okay. At that point, I will tribute off the Raisin to link into the Rock of the Vanquisher. I would then Borger, targeting the Mad Love, bring it back, special the Borger, effect of Borger, revealing a Dark. I will then, pretend I'm my opponent, shuffle, cut, drawing 1. Okay, so we have an Earth to use in case our board gets cleared for whatever reason. At this point, I would then special Kashtira Rise Heart, activating the effect, getting rid of a Fenrir, which would make it a 7. At this point, you're XYZ locked. Leaving it is fine, but if you really want to be just greedy, go into those 3 and go into a Rise Heart. Set there can be only one, and continue. I would actually put the Rise Heart behind Rock of the Vanquisher. And here's the reason why I do that. So because on your opponent's turn, right, we'll see what they do. All their stuff's gonna get banished. You can also put your Fenrir back if you really wanted to. But I would most likely go into continue, special, depending on where my opponent puts things. Again, if they're playing a link heavy deck, just put it in the link zone. Because if you look at your hand, you're gonna have a Dark, but no Fire. So here's what you do. Now with Raisin, you're gonna search the Pluton. And you're like, why would I search Pluton? Well, it does not have the bounce effect like the other Vanquish Soul monsters. However, it does give you, at least now, every single attribute because you bounce the Mad Love back, you search for the Caesar, and now you have the Fire. Because what you could do is, if they're really not doing anything or they don't really know the deck a lot, is you activate Caesar, targeting the Raisin during your opponent's turn, chain Raisin, reveal a Fire and a Dark, destroy all monsters in the column, you get your Raisin back, and now you have a Caesar to play with, which at this point you also now have Fire, Dark, Earth, and just an extra Fire, just in case. You also have not used Rock of the Vanquisher effect to special from hand, so you could get Mad Love back out to search for you another spell. So that ideally for me would be a good test hand, good opening hand. Plus you have, there can be only one. You've got Rock, Machine, Dragon, you've got Fiend, Warrior, Beast, and Zombie. So you got every single type. You don't really have to worry about much, okay? So that would be an ideal test hand for at least me going first, not knowing what I'm going up against. If you realize, okay, you're going up against Kashtira, this is horrible, you don't want this. So as I've learned in an OTS tournament that I played recently. So you don't want to open this, you just want to most likely leave the Fenrir face up on the field as you had it, and just do Rise Heart and Borger, and just go into the Red Eyes Flare Metal and just wait it out. Because it's up to you whether you want to leave the Fenrir underneath as material or the Borger to keep drawing. I would personally leave the Fenrir out, so that way I have an interruption in case I want to. The Borger will just help me draw, which is always good, but I would always prefer to have an interruption over a draw, especially going first, so that way you can play and see what you got with your opponent. Plus at this point, you know, we have the continue set with the Raisin in the graveyard, so it definitely gives us options on, you know, plays for the future. So yeah, that was my quick little test hand combo tutorial, so to speak, video. If you liked it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. If you have any other ideas for combos in this deck that I haven't showed, please let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.